Good afternoon. Today I'm going to present on the bead remains from the Harappan site of Karanpura, which is located in the lower Drishatwati plains. Drishatwati is a tributary of river Saraswati, which is identified with the Gaghar Hakra river system, which flows in Indian states of Haryana, Rajasthan, and in Pakistan. First of all, I would like to acknowledge Professor R.S. Bisht, who is my guru and who is also the guest professor at IIT Gandhinagar. I would also like to acknowledge my own institution, IIT Gandhinagar, my parent organization, Archaeological Survey of India, European Association for South Asian Archaeology and Art, the organizers of this event, and also to Professor Mark Enoyer and Dr. Rendella, with whom I have worked a lot. So everyone knows the distribution of the Harappan sites in South Asia. I will skip this one and try to show the location of Karanpura. Actually, Karanpura is located on the river Drishatwati, as I have told you. I mean, it is located somewhere here. You can see this is the location of Karanpura. And this is the location, and it's located very close to other settlements like Kalibanga, Banavali, Mitathal, Rakigadi, and another important settlement on the Drishatwati is Rakigadi, which is located upstream. And Karanpura also has, as an early Harappan phase, the total habitation can be divided into early Harappan and the Harappan phases. The Harappan phases phase is represented by an important ceramic marker known as Soti Siswal, and Soti is downstream of Karanpura, which is nearly 27 kilometers downstream somewhere here, and Siswal is located somewhere here upstream, nearly 42 kilometers. So here the site was subjected to large-scale destruction. Yet we could obtain much important information, and the radiocarbon chronology clearly indicates a 1,000-year-old 1,000-year occupation, starting from around 3000 BCE and ending around 2000 BCE. At the last phase of occupation at the site, nearly 1.5 meter of occupation deposit was completely removed by the villagers due to irrigation activities. If we look into the location of Karanpura, it is equidistant between Kalibangan and Rakigadi, and also if we take all these settlements, Kalibanga, Rakigadi, and also another settlement, Ropada, Rupnagar, they're all equidistant. And it indicates a certain settlement hierarchy, maybe to explore the raw material resources in a very good manner. In this context, the study of Rendella comes into a very important aspect here, which helps in identifying much of the inter-regional trade networks of this region. So as I mentioned earlier, the site was subjected to large-scale destruction because of a brick kiln. It is located to the south of the settlement, and we could trace a portion of the settlement. You can see the status of the settlement here, completely obliterated, 1.5 meter habitation completely removed. They were creating these kind of deep trenches, parking the vehicles here and removing the earth deposit from both the sides. And at many places we could see the exposed sections. We could collect pottery, artifacts, this kind of terracotta nodules, which are again hallmark of the Harappan period. So one of the most important aspects of Karanpura is the participation of long distance trade and also procurement and distribution of certain important commodities. One of which I am going to highlight here, which is the most typical quartzite, which is the Delhi quartzite deposit, which has this clear-cut black band across it, which was preferred by most of the settlements located here, which is found from a nearby hill known as Kalyana, which is 12 kilometers from southeast of Karanpura, again, which was studied by Rendella, who proved that most of the grinding stones from several settlements in this locality, they were procuring it from this region. So this has the typical black banded quartzite, which is classified as the Delhi quartzite, and it is even used in the modern context here, which is very famous in this region. Villages come here to this village to procure these kind of stones, grinding stones, and vessels and mortars. So there were other type of grinding stone from Karanpura, which is of this grayish color sandstone, which is again a harder variety and which could be procured from the Gaggar river beds near this region. So this is one of the view from the Gaggar river bed near Chandigarh. So if we look into the location of the Karanpura, which is located here, from here, most of the settlements, Mithatal, Parmana, Rakhigadi, Birdana, Kunal, everywhere this particular grinding stone was used, which was reaching also Karanpura, most probably through this river network, and it was reaching also Kalibangan. And ultimately, at Harappa also, the excavations at Harappa, it has brought to like a large number of this kind of building project grinding stone. So Karanpura might have participated because it is located in such a strategic way. It could have definitely participated in this kind of long distance trade of procurement of certain important commodities, grinding stone being an important commodity for processing cereals. So it is very important, and that's why some of the prosperity might have occurred at Karanpura. So another important grinding stone material is the grey sandstone, which might have reached again Karanpura through the river network. So it was located as the most crucial point here. Here is the northern Aravallis. Again, northern Aravallis, we know it's a source of steatite and also copper resources. So all the settlements here in this region, they might have participated in some way or other in the long distance procurement network. So this is also proved at Karanpura in the context of identification of two typical Harappan steels and also weights and measures. One of them is a typical Rory chet weight, others all of the local stones, sandstone and quartzite of different shapes, adhering to the Harappan weighing standard. So coming to the context of beads, I mean, beads constitute a most important collection of artifactual finds from this site of Karanpura. It is nearly 47% of the total artifact finds. If you look at the total number of artifacts, it is 28 out of 1159 or beads of various materials. You can see here, various kind of materials have been used for the manufacture. Yet we don't have actual craft activities at this site. So I hypothesize that they were all procured due to the long distance trade or some trade activity in which they participated with other settlements. And we have mostly the raw materials coming from outside. It is not a locally available raw material. Maybe these beads, they were fashioned in other settlements, and then it was used for some commercial transactions. If we compare the early Harappan period, bead remains fewer raw materials were found, but agate, cornelian, and lapis lazuli and steatite, these constitute the most important raw materials that continues even during the Harappan period. And ultimately, if we look at the overall collection, this is the kind of distribution. And terracotta also constitutes one of the most important raw material. You can say 12.42% of the beads were of terracotta. So starting from the earliest, from the early Harappan period, that is from 3000 BC onwards, we see beads of various raw materials, particularly agate, cornelian, and lapis lazuli. Now we understand the procurement and distribution networks of various raw materials spreading over a time span of nearly 2000 years due to the studies of Randall. We know from different parts of the Greater Indus region how different raw materials were procured and redistributed, and how different settlements might have participated in the overall distribution network. So somewhere located here, Karanpura located here, and it might have been participating in various material procurement in the distribution networks, and also maybe participating in the long distance trade and procuring some of these bead based jewelry in exchange of certain communities. So again, coming to another raw material resource network, Gujarat region is one of the most important ones, from where raw materials like agate, carnelian, they were found in large quantities, and it was also in close proximity with the copper and the steatite resources. So the The agate carnelian from Gujarat was the most important commodity, which was procured in large numbers by the Gujarat Harappans, and they were fashioning them into different forms of jewelry. They were exporting it to other sites in the Harappan domain, as well as to regions like Mesopotamia. So if you look into the bead collections at Karanpura, all of them are finished ones. No unfinished beads have been found. They consist of smaller ones to longer ones shot by cones, to longer tubular ones and other long by cones. So we have a variety of carnelian, agate carnelian beads, and also decorated carnelian beads of the single-eyed variety, and only one double-eyed variety was found. But interestingly, one imitation of a decorated cornelian bead was found in a steatite paste, and it was painted red, and the white color decoration was also produced. So this clearly indicates the different levels of social hierarchy. Some of them might have afforded the original ones, and some of them might have afforded the duplicate variety. So we see a wide range of materials in use during the Harappan period. And if we look into the drilling technology, so we conducted a scanning electron microscope studies on the bead impressions based on the methodology developed by Mark Connoyer, and it clearly indicates several type of bead manufacturing techniques. So one of the most important technique is the highly indicated by the highly polished surfaces, which clearly indicates the use of burnistite drills, which is also a typical Harappan feature. And another important technique is employed for the smaller ones. If you look at the smaller beams shot by cones, they were all drilled using the pecking technique. Pecking on both sides, you can see both deep pecking and soft pecking, or the hard pecking or the soft pecking, because here the pecking marks, they are not so prominent, but here you can see the pecking marks are prominent, and you can see the chips are removed in larger sizes also. So another important technique might have been the employment of copper solid drills along with abrasives, which creates this kind of whole surfaces. You can see the kind of wall surfaces with concentric ring-like feature, and also certain pitted surfaces, which is the result of using abrasives. And also, very interesting technique is that they were drilling it from one end using the earnestite drill, and another end they were finishing it with the pecking technique. So this is an important feature which is noticed in the early Harappan bead. This is an early Harappan bead. So this is a very interesting technique which is present in the early Harappan period and also continues in the Harappan phase. Also, this is one important feature. And another important feature is the kind of lack of control over meeting exactly at the center. They were drilling it from both the ends, but they had to meet exactly at the center. But it wasn't possible always. You can see the different axes here. It was drilled from here, and another end was drilled from here, so they could not meet. They had to adjust. So alignment is a very important component which could not be achieved very easily. The biconical bead holes also indicate copper solid drills, and here one can see the bulges, which is a typical feature of copper drills, and with the use of abrasives they could drill them. And another contrasting is the highly polished surface produced due to the earnestite drills. Even with the use of earnestite drills, we can see certain pitted portions which might indicate the use of abrasives deliberately, or the abrasives produced due to the drilling operations, the grit which is produced there, also producing this kind of surface. So one more important feature, even for the shorter beads, is the step drilling technique. You can see the step drilling, which is a typical feature of long bicones. Even here for this shorter ones, we are seeing this. And again, this is a typical earnestite drill feature. So we have these kind of drill hole surfaces, which clearly indicate they are stopping somewhere here, and again they are completing the final process with some filing technique or pecking technique using the copper rods. So we see various types of drilling techniques employment of a pricking technique, pricking from one end, drilling from another using earnest state drilling from both the ends. This is a drill hole impression from a modern bead from Kambas. One can see the contrasting features of a. This is from a double-tipped diamond drilling, and one can see the contrasting features with the other techniques employed during the Harappan period. So coming to the stated, we have a large number of micro beads starting from the Harappan phase, which culminates in the typical disc beads, which preserves the sawing mark in most of the things. But the micro beads, it continues along with the tubular beaded varieties in the Harappan period. So when these beads were subjected to again scanning electron microscope studies, we could clearly delineate the saw marks could have been produced due to the employment of copper saws, maybe with bronze tips. That's how we can see the deep grooves on a softer material like steatite, and then it was like heated. It was sawed when it was raw, then it was heated to around 1100,000 degrees centigrade. From the studies of Dandella, we clearly understand the chemical transformation of steatite before it achieves the whitish color, which was preferred by the Harappan. So this is another confirmation that they were produced by the typical Harappan technique. And finally, when we look into the terracotta beads, so we can see again a wide variety. We did some experimental analysis of such terracotta beads. We could make it within 1 hour time. We could produce it with handmade beads, and then we could make it in a local heart. So it is very easy to manufacture. So it can be a use and throw kind of thing. We can also apply slip and make it a bright red resembling the carnelian one. So terracotta was another preferred raw material, which constitutes nearly 11.85% of the bead collection. So looking into the overall bead collection, we can see the location of Karanpura being crossroads of several important procurement networks might have played a very important role in the procurement and redistribution of some of the important raw materials and also finished products, particularly the grinding stones and beads. They constitute nearly 47.7% of the total artifact collection from the site, and typically there is no evidence of bead manufacture at the site, and only two stones with bead grinding evidence is present there. So that doesn't indicate large scale bead manufacture here. Steatite was the most important raw material here. Nearly 62.46 of the percentage of the beads had steatite as the raw material, and the scanning electron microscope studies of the beads clearly indicate typical Harappan features. So that's why I conclude that they were all produced by other Harappan sites where large-scale craft activities were being carried out, and they might have been exchanged for certain products which Karanpura was trading with. Thank you very much for the listening of this presentation. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them.